Right, Bo, first one of 2026, running in Horse Racing Association with Race and Stay. We haven't been on for a while. I think, to be fair, it's probably personal things that have been getting in the way. Obviously, you with the new house, me with my work at this time of year. How have you been?
Yeah, very good. Everything's gone well with the house, so good to be in. And yeah, it's Christmas really. It's a good time. Lots of great racing. So yeah, looking forward to sort of getting back into it really.
Yeah, I must admit, I think we sit on quite a lot of pods that we've been on, like, but from Boxing Day onwards is when it really starts to ramp up for me, especially my enjoyment levels as well within racing. I just think it's just such a good time. It gets you buzzing. All the big horses seem to come out and stuff like that. And it sort of ramps it up and done it in for
Yeah,
DR
I think that's the
for
thing.
loads of
Like
stuff.
Willie tends to target the Christmas meeting with his good ones, and obviously he holds a lot of the aces for the national hunt season. So you kind of holding your breath until Christmas before you see what he's unleashing. So now that we've seen a lot of that stuff, you can sort of start to get excited about the DRF and just the rest of the season in general.
Yeah, and I think what's helped this year as well is that Gordon hasn't is been pretty relentless this year, hasn't he? Whereas normally he can have
Yeah.
a good start and then maybe he just peters off a little bit or something. But this year it's just been absolutely relentless for him, really.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, and I'm hoping that. I mean, the early talks are that he's going to target a few at the DRF, looking at the movements, the money movements, and stuff like that. And I think that would be really good for the game if we get some of Gordon's stars there to sort of not just give Willie free reign of it. To be honest, that would be really good to see. So hopefully we'll get to see a bit of that.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously we'll talk about a couple of races probably in the DRF as we have a discussion about it now. But I think also, like we said before, that we'll try and just sort of focus on the novice chasing division
Mm.
really in this recording. I mean, over Christmas, looking at some of the performances that we saw, and even just pre-Christmas, really, it sort of sets it up for a good DRF in a couple of weeks' time. Obviously, that's the first big sort of festival that we're going to see some of these festival horses, if you like, come to fruition. Maybe even take each other on. We'll start with what looks like pretty on paper a fairly straightforward division, which obviously with the Arkle at the minute, with Alhambra and Kopek being at the top of the betting. Romeo Cooley obviously is in there, and Pargesi as well, sort of thrown into the mix. If we start on the Lumber, obviously a great performance really at Sandown last time out. I'm still a little bit undecided. I know that the Lumber is obviously 7 to 4, probably top price at the minute for the Arkle, but I just really do feel as though he's an out and out 2.5 mile. I don't know what you think on that. I know he won obviously pretty convincingly over just short of 2 miles at Sandown, but I don't know. I'm not fully convinced that the price is correct at the minute.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I've been saying all season, the first pod we did, I think I said that he's a stayer. You saw that in the Triumph. He was done for speed and then kind of stayed, like he sort of stayed on at the top of the hill, and yeah, it was then done on the line. To me, he's definitely a stayer. I think he's proved that in his performances so far. He even jumps like a stayer. He's not a typical Nicky 2 miler. I think there's still a lot of this in the market and in his price. I think a lot of people are just sort of seeing Sergino and putting them in the same sort of ilk just because them colours and being a sort of great juvenile and you know, um, but they're nothing alike. And Capec de Board, as I look at it, is 9 to 4, and Ulamba is 6 to 4, 11 to 8 for an Arkle. That's just totally wrong for me. Lulamba's performance was good. He was getting weight. So, and I think Be Aware and Lump Sum have got their eye on other things, let's just say.
Well, I
Um,
was just about to say that to you, to be honest with you. I mean, it depending on how much you want to sort of dip in and out of form. Obviously, Be Aware ran July Flower to like a length and a quarter or whatever it was like that. And then
yeah,
July Flower got absolutely swept to one side by Romeo Coolio. But
yeah.
I, I was under that impression as well. I'm not too sure how close they wanted to really get to Alhambra. I'm not saying, listen, they might have got a touch closer, but
Yeah.
I'm
I
a
mean,
bit
we're
like
not we're
you.
not accusing anyone of anything, but I think I think he'd be a great bet in a Grand Annual
Hmm.
Skelton horse. I think he'd be a
Yeah, be
great bet in
aware.
that, and be aware, and I think he might be their number one for that. So yeah, so there's a bit of that at play. For me, Lulamber is just way too short. And I don't think he's got a chance really in the Arkle. He's going to be a five. He's a 5-year-old going into it. We know they struggle. So yeah, he's got a lot of stuff to prove. I think if the 2.5 mile race was there, I think um, that would be tailor made for him. I think he'd have a great chance in that. Obviously, that's not there anymore. So do they even go to the Arc? I mean, I have question marks as to whether they'll even go, and they might just skip it and go to Aintree. Now the 2.5 miles not there. Anyway, yeah. So I couldn't really be more against him, to be honest, in that race.
No, I'm like you. I think this whole Arkle market after the DRF could be massively different. If I'm honest with you, obviously we'll
Mm,
touch a little bit on Kopek de Board. Obviously, everyone know I was very vocal before his debut to sort of say that I'd be happy to watch him run first time out before sort of dipping my toe in for the Arkle. Um, I was fairly impressed with it with his win. I thought he won well. I He seems to me like the natural 2 miler in
yeah.
this market at the minute. When you look at the Lamba, was it he's 9-4 second favourite? Romeo Coolio, who we'll touch on here, but I think he's probably more than likely going to be going up in trip. And then you've obviously got Cargesi at tens, and after that you're looking at 20-25 to ones. Um, I think people have got the wrong end of the stick with Kopek as well. I think the more you listen to what actually the reason why he didn't run, it wasn't an injury. I think people have assumed that it was an injury as to the reason why he didn't run. He's actually had a little bit of a bone removed from his knee. So
Mm,
it's the equivalent of like what humans have the little floating bones that don't actually give you any aggravation, but sometimes you need to try and get rid of it. So it's been
yeah.
more that than an actual physical injury. And from what I can gather, I just think it's taken a little bit more time to heal than what they thought it was going to do. So I don't think there's any sort of injury there. He's probably going to be racing against Cargesi in the Irish Arkle, looking at the entries and things like that. After Cargesi's debut, I was convinced we were going to go back over hurdles with her because I thought it was quite a poor run. Then afterwards, her next run at Leopardstown was, to be fair, was quite good, decent enough time. Lovely Hurling was back in set, well, quite a remote second, but very similar sort of distance to what it was with Kopek. However, I do think Kopek will have a little bit more improvement second time out over fences. But can we give Cargesi a sniff at all?
I think you can for sure. I think she's definitely a 2 miler, isn't she? She's so headstrong. And yeah, she's got that sort of form roughly tied in with Quebec, with lovely hurling. That's it, isn't it? Um, yeah, I think with with Willie's, a lot of them have been a bit flat first time out, so I think we have to properly judge them on the second run. And obviously we've got that for Cargesi, but we don't have that for Quebec. Um, for me, he won beginner's chase as easily as he could. He looked very good, but again, what substances are to the form, we won't really know until he goes up in grade or um, his next run at the DRF, obviously. So I think it's a difficult one to weigh up. I totally agree with you. After the first run of Cargesi, I was thinking that they would be targeting maybe the mare's hurdle or something. But yeah, they persisted, and she was very impressive. You can't knock her. But yeah, I just think that Capek's the number one. He's going to have Paul Townend on, I'd imagine, unless something goes horribly wrong. So there's that factor at play as well. Um, I mean, Cargesi is a decent price at tens. But if she's got Paddy
I
on
just I
board
just think
on
I
the
just
day,
think though,
what price we should be?
yeah, I just think though, but I think the thing is after the DRF, one's going to come in price and one's going to go out in price because ultimately,
Yeah,
if
true.
Quebec the board obviously batters Cargesi at end of month, he's probably going to come into
Mm,
favourite and Cargesi is going to go flying out. So
yeah,
there's also that aspect of the sort of if it was me personally, this is going to sound daft. I'm not saying by no stretch of the imagination that they're using Cargesi as a pacemaker at all, but I would imagine that Cargesi will try and burn from the front with the stack type of style of running that she does, a bit headstrong.
yeah.
But I can just imagine Kopech just
Yeah,
sat there waiting for to go
yeah.
past whatever he wants, basically, if I'm being honest with you. That's how I see the race panning out anyway, even now. The
And
ones
I'd hope that's how it would pan out because I don't think that Cargesi would be able to get away with that sort of tactic at Cheltenham.
no, no, not
Um,
not at all. And I mean, listen, don't get me wrong. Cargesi's hurdles form strong.
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, she does have strong hurdles
She
form, but I just
won the
don't
county.
think. Yeah, and I think did she come? Did she get placed in an Irish champion hurdle? Possibly, or was it the Punchestown?
Perhaps,
At Punchestown,
perhaps, yeah.
yeah, it was. But the one for me that I wanted to mention from the novices in the Arkle, which I think is a massive each way price at the minute, is Mambo number 5. Um, Now,
Yeah.
the rationale behind this is I don't think it's going to be a big field in the Arkle.
Mm,
Um, I mean, again, just looking at the top of the market, if Cargesi flops at the DRF over 2 miles, will she even run? Possibly not.
yeah.
Romeo Coolio, as we mentioned, is probably going to go up in trip. You then got Irish Panther and then Mambo number 5 after that at 25-1. Now, I've been impressed by Mambo number 5 twice that I've seen him. He always obviously threatened to be a good hurdler, never really reached the heights, I think, as what people thought he might do when he came over from France. Um, but Jason looks like it's his bag. Now I can just
Yeah.
imagine quite possibly that 25s come the day, because I think the acid is going to definitely go to the Arkle. If it's a 5 runner Arkle, and you've got obviously Kopech at the front of it, maybe in the Lambra, then nothing else in behind. That 25s could be a pretty juicy price, I think, on the day.
No, yeah, I totally see the angle. He's improved a lot for a fence, just shy of £20. So yeah, he's a 5 year old, so he's been receiving weight this season so far. Um, but yeah, I mean, yeah, I totally accept your point. I think it could be a small Arkle. I mean, it usually is a race that cuts up anyway. So if you're looking for each way value, yeah, he's definitely got improvement to find with whether it be Cargesi or Capec de Board on ratings. So
I
yeah,
think, yeah, I think it's purely a bet. I think though, where you are sort of, I won't say you're relying on people dropping out, but I don't think the front 5 in the market will all run. Is probably my angle on the
yeah,
race.
yeah, yeah,
And I think if Mamma number 5 turns up, it might be I don't know, might be maybe 8-1 or something like that. You might have 2 front favourites, and that might be 8 or 10, whatever it is on the day. I think it
yeah.
was due to run in the Kingmaker, wasn't it, at Warwick?
Yes.
Um, Obviously, whether that goes ahead, we're not too sure, but I know that was the plan. Any others from left field, do you reckon, that might come into it at all, or would we be sort of clutching at straws after that? Do you reckon?
Um, I mean, do you want to talk about Coolio in this section?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see what they do with him. Um, he's obviously running at the DRF against, well, we think he's running at the DRF against Final Demand over a bit further. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. And obviously the connections, I'm not sure if what they've decided on for Cheltenham. I haven't been keeping up to date with it. It seems like there's Romeo Cooley updates every other day, so I can't be asked to really look at them, to be honest. Um, but yeah, I don't think. I mean, his performance the other day, he got there just about. He didn't scream a 2 miler to me, a bit like Lulamba. Um, so yeah, I think an Arkle would be a bit of a stretch for him myself, unless it came up quite soft. And he could kind of outstay them all. But yeah, I think for now he's definitely one that I would steer clear of in an Arkle at 8-1 anyway.
Yeah, I mean, he's a little bit shorter, not by much, but he's a little bit shorter for the Browns. He's around about 7-1, 6-1 for the Browns, which obviously
I
we
would
can.
give him a much better chance in the Browns. Um, I mean, I'm sure we'll come to that in a bit.
We'll move on to it now. It makes sense because obviously we've mentioned Romeo's price for the Browns. I mean,
Yeah.
currently in that market, obviously we've got Final Demand, who we saw again over Christmas. It seemed to get mixed reviews off quite a
Mm,
few people. I think some people jumped on the Ruby Walsh bandwagon, if I'm being brutally honest with you, and started making an opinion that never didn't form themselves. And obviously just listened to Ruby's opinion, which, listen, of course means a hell of a lot. But
I've not
um,
listened to Ruby's opinion. What did he say?
Ruby just thought it were a little bit flat.
Oh,
He,
right. Okay.
he felt as though it should have been winning by a little bit further. Basically, I think.
Yeah.
Story short.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, listen, I understand. Um, I don't think it was the worst performance in the world. I mean, listen, it won causally, shall we say? Um, I gave it a decent enough ride, kept it uncomplicated, it jumped well, and probably wasn't really massively pushed. So, I mean, in terms of actually having a hardened race, it hasn't really done much, I don't think, really. Um, it's a funny one. Is Final Demand. I think if Romeo Cooley obviously turns up in the 2 mile 5 race at the DRF, then I think it's a decent race. I think between them both,
Yeah.
I think it brings Romeo Cooley into that conversation of will it win that race. The Browns to me is a completely different scenario compared to the 2 mile 5 at the DRF. I know obviously Willie's used it a lot of times for stepping stones for Brown's horses, so I'm not saying it's a completely useless trial, but it is going to be a completely different race, isn't it? I mean, we've seen horses in the past
Yeah.
like that turn up and win that and then get absolutely stuffed. We've seen some ridiculously stupid winners of the Browns at times when we obviously had well fancied favourites. I I know we spoke about it the other day. You would like to maybe try and take on Final Demand at the prices. The only thing is that I'm struggling at the minute to know which way to go without it.
Yeah.
It's not really a race at the minute I'm heavily invested in because I just think there's so many question marks against a lot of these horses. Obviously, Final Demand's 5-4, Romeo Cooler around about the 7-1, 6-1 mark, and you've got the big Westerner at tens. Kitzbull, who had a fantastic performance at Kempton between like 8 and 10-1. Cocktail, Devin, 16s, and it's 20-1 bar those. I don't. If you sat on an Ante Post roll up bet on Final Demand at threes or fours or whatever that may be, then obviously you're going to be sat there pretty. But
Yeah.
I'm not sure this is a race at the minute Ante Post that I could get involved in right now because there's so many question marks against a lot of these compared to definitive bang form, massive green ticks. I mean, I know we had a conversation off recording like about Final Demand. I mean, to me there is I know we've only seen one race, but there is a small argument to say did Final Demand see the hill fantastically well at last year's festival?
Mm.
Obviously, the two horses in front of it. I mean, the yellow clay's not really pulled up any trees, has it? Let's be fair.
No.
New Lion, we haven't really seen. I mean, he's only raced once over
We'll
two
learn a bit
miles.
more about the new line at Cheltenham, won't we?
Yeah, we will. I mean, well, we say we will. I mean, it depends. I mean, if Sergino runs against him and beats him, he probably might not learn too much because
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Sergino is so. But I mean, where's your sort of head at the moment with the Browns market, and what is your views on Final Demand and stuff at the moment?
I think Final Demand's a funny horse, really, because if you actually delve into the crux of it, if you take out that win at the DRF last year, which I know was really impressive at the time, um, he's not really achieved a fat lot. The form doesn't look particularly brilliant when you look at the Turners last year. He beat Wingman on debut over fences pretty convincingly, obviously, as he's expected to go and do. But Wingman is one of these horses where he's either a, a long plot or he's just an absolute hound. Um, so, I mean, Cade Dorothy beat Wingman by a similar distance, and I wouldn't say he's particularly very good. People are talking about Final Demand as being a Gold Cup horse next year. Well, you know, this race at the DRF is his time to go and show it. For me, his performance at Limerick wasn't bad at all. Like it was good. He jumped well. He did it easily enough. I would just worry that his main market rival Jimmy DeSoy just didn't show up at all and jumped terribly. So that horse he's beaten into second. I have no idea if he's any good. I mean, he's another Willie horse. Doesn't seem like a very good, particularly solid horse. So I think it was a very weak grade one, to be honest, that he's gone and won. His price for the Browns is just shocking. I mean, he's only had 6 runs under rules. So he's now evens for a Browns. And you've got to remember this Browns now, it's different to how everything has been the last few years. Because there's no turners, you will probably get more runners in it. particularly if the ground is good racing ground, like if it's normal, good to soft, you should expect to see a decent enough field. Um, so I think it's just a balmy price. Um, so yeah, there is that. I mean, it's going to be a great race at the DRF, and I'm looking forward to seeing that. I think for um, Romeo to go and beat him in the Browns, I think it's probably got to be good to soft ground, and I would be taking Final Demand on, just because his price is too short, and I don't really think that he's warranted it. I mean, his price was like, I don't know, 4 to 1, whatever it was at the start of the season when he hadn't run and he'd been beaten in a Turners. I mean, that was ridiculous. We said that at the first podcast we did. So I'd be taking him on with Romeo Coolio if it was good to soft, but obviously that's not a bet I can have now because I wouldn't know. I thought Kitzbühel was very impressive at Kempton over Christmas. I think he absolutely dominated that race. Jumped brilliantly. I mean, there's the photos of the last fence, isn't there, that he absolutely winged.
Yeah.
So he would be an interesting one to take forward. I just worry about, again, that tactic going around Cheltenham of just trying to batter everything from the front in a Browns. I don't know what it is. I just don't really like it. Also, he's another Willie horse, so he's going to have a lesser jockey on, whether that's Danny or Paddy. He's going to have one of them on. That's obviously going to come into the price, being a second string. So, that sort of worries me. Well, I say that I'm expecting Final Demand to be Paul Townend's pick anyway. I was quite looking forward to seeing a horse called Oscar's Brother run. He was supposed to run at Limerick. I haven't kept up to date. I'm not sure what's going on, but he was recently bought by JP, so I'd assume everything is fine. To me, he just seems like a proper out and out stayer. If the ground was to come up on the worst side of good to soft, you would have worse bets than that at 50 to 1. I was very much looking forward to seeing him run at Limerick because I thought he would give Final Demand a bit of a race, particularly with that Limerick ground. And, he's got that form with Cocktail Divan, who, again, looked very good at Leopardstown over Christmas. So that would be something I'd be taking him on with. But I think this division as a whole is quite difficult to go and pick because you have got Final Demand sitting at the top at such a short price. And there's quite a lot in there behind that you're just not sure what's going to run. I mean, the Big Westerner is a horse that I'm a big fan of. I think she's an outstanding mare. Would she have the class to go and win something like this? I don't know. So yeah, I don't really know where it leaves me, but I'm definitely against Final Demand at the price, and I think it's probably one that I'm going to keep my powder dry on outside of Oscar's Brother, because it's a wild price, and just kind of see what happens over the next few weeks.
Yeah, I think I say the DRF will give you a little bit more insight, but it might have maybe just caused more questions and answers, if I'm honest with you, with it being obviously a different type of race than what you see at the festival in the Browns. I'm interested to see come Cheltenham if that Albert Bartlett form from last year holds up at all. Obviously, you've got Wendigo as well, haven't you? That's now being said they're going to go to the Browns. And listen, I'm not saying that Wendigo is an out and out superstar. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying it's got the same class as some of the other horses, but I do think it'll be constantly staying on. I think it'll always be there. But pretty similar to the Big Westerner. I think them two are very sort of two similar horses. Obviously, Big Westerner got beat by Jimmy DeSoy and then went on and won then when it went over a little bit further. So there's arguments to say that the Big Westerner will probably get better the further that she goes, I think.
Yeah. I could just see this year being a real upset, to be honest. I'm just a bit shaky on the credentials of Final Demand, and I think in behind is just a bit of a.
It's got Jerry Cologne vibes, hasn't it?
Yeah,
it's got them sort of like vibes where you think it should be better than the rest of them. But would you be surprised if a Big Westerner or something like that came up and just outstayed the horse? I personally wouldn't. I think Final Demand is probably the classiest horse in the race, probably alongside Romeo Coolio, no doubt.
Yeah,
But
I'd agree.
I'm just not sure whether the Browns race will suit. Is my only sticking point. And like I say, I'm sure the people listening to this going, well, it's only around once at Cheltenham. How can you say it? I always think that class horses always get up that hill or show something going up that hill. They might not win every race, but they always show something. And I don't think I saw a lot from Ferdinand in.
Yeah, I mean, I just like just to touch on it slightly. I mean, you go back to last year's Browns, and for all the world, Ballyburn looks like a good thing in that race. Obviously, with his, I mean, he had a lot of backclass as well. When you think about it, like he won the Turners as easily as you like, and in that Browns, he only beat one horse, well, two if you include the unseated rider. So you know, anything could happen really, and just have question marks about final demand.
Yeah, and I think as well, what was really funny is as well is that after what happened last year with the Champion Hurdle, you always thought you've got a chance now, don't you, in any of these races as well?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean? There's been so much that's gone on with some form of loss, whatever, in certain
yeah.
races. More of us, obviously, other hurdles. Don't get me wrong, but you always feel as though you've got half a chance. Look at like you say, Ballyburn, Madgeburg, both didn't win, both really well fancied. So you're always in with a sniff, aren't you? I think nowadays,
Yeah.
which is good.
Madgeburg
Um,
was an absolute galling beat.
yeah, I'm well. To be fair, I mean, I was against Madgeburg all the way through. I just didn't even win the way that it did. That's another one. Right. So very quickly, we've only got a few minutes left. But have you got any current novice chasers in your mind for handicaps? And obviously, you mentioned obviously Be Aware maybe is possibly one of them. Anything sort of like sticking out for you for the Jack Richards or for National Chase at this moment in time that you're looking out for prices on or
Yeah, I have. I think it's a pretty boring one, but I think it's a great bet. I'm just going to get the price here. So in the National Hunt Chase,
back me or sack me by any chance?
no, no, it's not. I'm afraid. Top price 14 to 1. So yeah, look, he's towards the top of the market, but it's now is the hour. Do you remember this horse last year? Gavin Cromwell got absolutely punted in Ante Post to, I don't know, it was like 2 to 1 or something stupid. Um, and he ended up falling when running a decent race. And obviously, Haiti Couleurs won that race. Haiti Couleurs has obviously gone on to improve the form. I mean, he ran here. I mean, this is amazing, really, when you look at it. He ran in the National Hunt Chase last year off 135. He's now rated 159. I mean, I know there's been a lot of winning in between there, but that is ridiculous. So I just think there is a big race in now is the hour. He was sent off 33 to 1 last time in his last race over Christmas. He finished fourth, beating 7 lengths. That's not bad. I can't imagine they were looking to necessarily win that race. He's got a mark of 141 by the looks of, which is only a couple of pounds higher than what he ran off last year in the National Chase. But obviously, I think that might be an Irish mark, so you'd have to kind of see what happens. But I just think at 14 to 1, I think the form of last year's National Chase is pretty solid. I'd imagine that would be the aim for him. Go back there, try and win. So, yeah, I think that's an interesting one. So, yeah.
the only one I've got in sort of my what do you want to call them? Crackers or whatever it will be is Fingal Bridge. Ollie Murphy and Sean Bowen. I'm just sort of it's one I'm monitoring. If you remember, it came second to Lalamba.
Yeah.
On Lalamba's debut run, and I don't think it ever got put into race. If I'm honest with you, by Sean Bowen. It then came out afterwards and then it won at Utoxeter. Now, to be fair, it got left on its own at Utoxeter. The horse, so only a 2-horse race, but I just when you look at, I mean, it's rated now 139. Won 3 out of 3 over hurdles. Obviously, won 1 out of its 2 racing starts. I'm just sort of having a look. It's entered this weekend at Kelso if it's on.
Right.
It's another 2 mile 4, and again, there's quite a few horses in there as well that are also thrown in. by Ollie Murphy, so I'm not trying to say it's definitely going to run. But it's certainly a horse to have a look at, maybe for something like the Jack Richards. I'm not sure what price it is for that. I think last time we checked, it was about 16s or something like that. But that's the 2.5 mile race. That could be quite a smart race, but I think it'll have something just nestled in there like that. And Ollie Murphy at the minute again seems to be having a really good season, and he's got a lot of horses at the minute that seem to be finishing second or third that maybe might have finished a little bit closer up. But if slightly different or ground, not that again I'm suggesting anything, but you know exactly what I'm saying. They may have been a little bit closer, maybe if the race had have panned out slightly different, shall we say?
Yeah, I have a thing about backing Ollie Murphy horses. I don't know why. I shouldn't do either because he's a Villa fan just like me. But yeah, I have a thing about it. I don't know why.
We always have them though, don't we? There's always
Yeah.
one that you that for whatever reason just don't seem to do anything for you at all.
Yeah.
But right, so before we finish the board, have you got any Ante Post definitive bet for the novice chasers? I mean, anything that you would advise? Or
I think Oscar's brother's an interesting one. I think take a look at it for yourselves, but I think there's decent form there. I don't think he should be 50-1. It's been bought by JP, and he's with a small trainer, so you know I think that's maybe why the 50s he's still there because of the trainer. But yeah, I think he's a good horse. He's got good form. Horses like Western Fold, etc. So you know, I think he could just be a bit of a stayer. The other one I just wanted to quickly mention was Regent Stroll. I was there the other day, New Year's Day, when he ran. I'm just interested to see what they're doing with that horse. I have a feeling that they might be potentially looking at the handicap, the 2.5 mile. He's 16-1 for it, so he's not particularly sure. And obviously, recency bias comes into it last year with Connections winning the race last year. But yeah, I think 145 of a chase mark is pretty lenient, and I think he's definitely better than that. So yeah, see what happens. But yeah, if they were to go for that, I think I'd be interested.
cool. Well, my one to put up, I suppose, for the novices at a big price. I do, by the way, think that Kopek at 9-4 could be a bit of a steal for those that do like shorter prices. I just can't imagine that going off at 9-4 at the festival.
No, it won't go off 9-4.
I think it could be ridiculously short, but that's one for that. But then I am going to sort of mention again Mambo number 5. I think each way at 5 for the Arkle. I think I can't see it going off at that price. Unless, for example, it's like a 4 in the field, then it might go at that price. But I think at this moment in time now, I think 3 places for 25-1, I think is
that's the thing, isn't it? You're getting 3 places at the moment, so 50 odds 5-1 to place. It's not bad.
No, not at all. And if you want to chuck it into a roll up or something like that, I don't think it's a bad one. So
yeah.
Right. Okay then, mate. Right. We'll crack on and we'll do some more with the novice hurdlers, and then also we'll go into the Open Company over the next week or so in the lead up to the DRF. You're obviously going out, as well.
Yeah, as are you.
Correct. Yeah,
a couple of pints of Guinness in order.
We'll see. I would imagine so. How's the marathon training going, by the way, very quickly?
Yeah, it's going well actually. Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, I'm running a marathon in April, and I'm raising money, which I'll sort of be putting on my Twitter shortly. So if you got any spare change that you win over the races, go and donate to that.
Yeah, we'll definitely get promoted for you, mate, and stuff like that as well. So, right, a pleasure as always, mate. And now we'll crack on and we'll catch up again shortly.
Cheers.
Cheers.